8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Liftoff.
What's up, guys? Bri Mott. It has been a long time, but I am excited to be filling your screens, mobile, desktop, whatever it is. And I'm really more excited to bring in two awesome guests because tomorrow is a huge day at Golden Gate's Fields. It's a huge weekend at Golden Gate, the Gold Rush weekend. So Stable Duel is having a Gold Rush contest, $5,000 guaranteed. Again, that can grow, $50 entry for the entire card. But today we have a free ride. So I've got these two fine gentlemen here to help give you an idea all about Golden Gate and the horses, the good stuff you got to know, maybe the biases that are out there. But let me introduce our two guests. I have Fernando, we're going to call him Shoes, and I have Matt, who is the track announcer at Golden Gate. What's up, guys? How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing, Bri?
I'm good. I really am excited to be here. We were talking before. We've had Shoes on here before, and he did our Instagram takeover at Stable Duel. But I have never met Matt in person. Now, this is what in person has been like kind of since COVID even. But you're far away, so it's nice to meet you in person. And Shoes, always nice to have you. Let's do a quick introduction. Let's start with Shoes down there. You are a jockey's agent at Golden Gate. Tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into racing, and what you're doing now.
Well, yes, my name is Fernando, but everybody calls me Shoes. I actually sometimes forget my actual first name just because everybody calls me Shoes. Well, I think like everybody, when I was real young, I used to go to the track, Bay Meadows, which is no longer here, with my uncle. And I still remember that first time I placed a $2 bet and I won. And then that was it. Like I was hooked. And then I would go with him every weekend. And then my life turned, we went another way. And then I talked to a couple of trainers, and then all of a sudden I just found myself in the backside. And then one thing led to another, and I became a jock's agent. It was like 10, 11 years ago. So I'm still here.
I love it. Oh, we got RB tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Can't wait. Can't either. Free ride today at 4:15, right? Because it's 1:15 first post Pacific time. Is that right, Matt?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so let's get an introduction from you. I actually think you're one of the top influencers in racing and influencers. We just use that because I don't know what else to call us.
Right.
But your Twitter account is awesome. And you are also the track announcer at Golden Gate. So what got you into racing? Have you been a Calbred yourself? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a California bred because I was born in California. My mom first found out that I was coming into the world when they were in Massachusetts, my mom and my dad. But because I was born in California, I'm a California bred. So I actually grew up, starting in kindergarten, I grew up about an exit south of Del Mar Racetrack. So when I was about 11, my dad took me to the races because my mom had something to do and they couldn't find a babysitter. It was one of those things. So my dad said, what the heck, I'll just take him to the races. And that's sort of where the story began. And I was just enamored with the horses and the jockeys and just being able to, watch these races and the excitement. I mean, I just was like, this is unbelievable. This is amazing. And, they say once you get bit by the bug, and Shoes can attest to this, when you get bit by the racing bug, you're done. There's no vaccine for that. You're in it for life. So that's how the journey began.
I hear that. I absolutely hear that. Well, so Golden Gate is our focus today and tomorrow. Again, we have the free ride. I'm going to say that about 50 times because you all have about 3 hours and 10 minutes to get your stables in. One stable for the free rides, one chance to win to cash. And Fernando is playing. Matt's also going to play. So check out their stables. See if you can beat these two. We'll maybe get them to say a couple horses that they like from today's card. But let's talk about the track in general. So Golden Gate Fields is just outside of San Francisco. One view is looking at the Golden Gate Bridge. Is that right? From one side. And then the other side is the track. what is your favorite thing about Golden Gate Fields? Let's start with you, Shu.
My favorite thing is I love the track here. I love the Tapeta track. I love how we don't get a lot of ices. It's kind of straight up how it is. That's my favorite thing. Is I just love the track. I love seeing the horses work on here. I love that. That's what I like about here.
Yeah, so Golden Gate Fields is known for the surface, so it's an all-weather track, and it's also known, if you ask me, for some full freaking fields. There are a lot of horses that run in the fields there, and I'm not going to say any names about any racetracks, but there is a tendency to not have full fields out in California. So if you're looking for a full field track, you've got to check out Golden Gate Fields. It's always fun to handicap. Matt, what are some things that people should know about Golden Gate if they have never been? They need to visit? Like, what are some of your favorite things?
Well, the views are incredible. I don't know if I have a singular favorite thing. The views are incredible, and we've sent you videos and photos of it. I know Shoes has, and we actually went up to the announcer's booth, and you have to go up on the roof there, and you look out, you can see Alcatraz, the bridge, the whole city, especially at night when it's lit up. That's unbelievable. And then you turn around and the track's right there with the Berkeley Hills. So the views are great. I agree with Shoes. I think the Tapeta surface, not only is it safe, the horses go well over it, and it's really helpful for horses in terms of their physical health. I mean, I know that it's a lot easier on the Tapeta for some of them, their feet, for example, than maybe a dirt surface. But the races are really competitive. And when I'm calling a race, for example, you don't see, even if we have a 6-horse field, you don't see 6 horses separated by 10 lengths. You see 6 horses separated by 2 or 3. And that makes it really interesting. And it's even more fun for people playing. Not only are they trying to win, but they're getting an exciting race to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of exciting races, tomorrow it is a 12-race card. There are 6 stakes races. So half of the card, is that right? There's 6.
Yes.
6, yeah.
Pretty sure. Yep. Starting at race 6, you got race 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Huge races, with the feature being the San Francisco Mile on the turf. That is race 9. There are 14 horses in that race. A lot of these other stakes races, we got 8 horses in race 7. California Oaks has 9 fillies. We have 10 horses in Lost in the Fog. I mean, this is a really fun card to watch, to handicap, and of course, to handicap and play stable duel. So again, $5,000 guaranteed tomorrow, $50 entry, and you can have a couple entries if you want. We are limiting, as we said a little while ago, we limit all of the contests now. So fair game for everybody. But let's talk about the San Francisco Mile, because this one I really looked at in depth today. And I was excited because I actually think that there are a ton of value picks that are worth, if you need a value horse. Okay. So if you're new to stable duel and you're needing a value horse, that means a horse that's not going to cost you a lot of money. And for the game, you don't need that horse to win if you're putting it in your stable. You just want it to finish as close to the winner as possible. So just don't get blown out. So if you're spending $250 and that horse finishes 4th, you did just fine. If it finishes 3rd, 2nd, if it wins, I mean, I'll send you a 6-pack. I don't know. It's amazing. So what are some of the value picks from San Francisco Derby that you guys, or San Francisco Mile, I always want to call it the Derby, that you all kind of take a look at? Do you have any longer shot horses that you think have a chance to kind of be in a trifecta or finish close to the front or maybe even win? Start with you, Matt.
I'll let Shoes. Oh, you want to start with me? Okay.
Sure.
I don't have a top pick quite yet officially because it's a hard race. I mean, a lot of these stakes races, it's actually easier to make a pick in some of these bigger stakes races because you already know the horses. You only need the PPs as a little bit of a reminder, and the 4-1 morning line tells you what you need to know in a large field of 14. It's that competitive. I think the local horse with the best shot is Tom Surprise. I think he is going to get the right trip. I think there's a good amount of pace in there. Shoes' riders both are on, in my opinion, sneaky live horses. Indian Peak for Irving Orozco, he runs back to his race at Del Mar where he ran 3rd in the Grade 2 Seabiscuit. He's got a big shot in this race. And Delaware, when he was in Chad Brown's barn, he was running some really good races. And if he can somehow find that form again, then he could possibly upset at 20-1 on the morning line. I think that Vanzi is definitely the horse to beat. Number 4, he's the morning line favorite, but obviously he's not a lock. And one really big price, I think that's a little bit interesting, is another local horse, Jimmy Blue Jeans. He got an easy lead last time, but I think he's better on the turf. So there are a lot of different ways to go here.
Yeah, I agree. And when we were talking off live, Fernando over here was like, I don't want to be too biased, but Matt just named 2 of your horses. So I feel like you could be biased right
Put me
now.
on the spot.
Shoes, who do you like? Who do you like? And again, like, this is not going to bite you in any way. Who do you like in the San Francisco?
No, it's okay.
mile?
You know, I don't mind. What I like about this race, and what I like about full fields, is that there's 14 horses in here. So I'm really I'm excited to actually see the first part, like how everybody's gonna, find their position and find their spots, which I think I actually think it's fully loaded with speed in here. And I don't think anybody's gonna get an easy lead. I expect quick fractions here. So with that, I actually do like one of my horses that one of my riders is on is Indian Peak. I think he has that late kick. He has that good, nice kick to him when it is set up pretty nice for him up front. And actually, I like Delaware too. But Indian Peak, I mean, if he does, which I'm expecting a hot and contested pace. All these races, like when you have big fields, you got to get the trip. So hopefully my rider, which I expect him to do, finds a good spot, finds that little room, and then, hopefully at the end he comes on running and mows them all down. And you'll probably be hearing me all the way from the top, Matt, if that horse does win.
I do have a good video. I do have a good video of him cheering one of his riders across the finish line.
Yes.
That is nuts.
I don't want to.
I remember that. Delmar. That was when Shoes was having it at the party at Delmar.
Yes, we had
there was a lot of alcohol there, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Indian Peak is coming out of the 2 post 10-1, so it's costing you $1,000 in your stable. That is a value pick because you would average for 10 horses $5,000 per, so that would give you an extra $4,000 to spend somewhere else. So Jimmy Blue Jeans is another horse that was discussed, 15-1, so that's costing you $500. That jockey trainer combo on that horse, oh gosh, how rude! You got to turn your ringers off, guys. Jockey trainer
You're a busy
combo.
woman, Bri. You're a busy woman.
Is pretty strong on Jimmy Blue Jeans as well, coming out of the 5 post. We discussed Delaware 20-1, also huge value, and Tom Surprise 12-1 at 750. A tough jumping class for that one, but again, anything can happen if there's a bunch of speed duels here, and some of the closers, which there are not a lot, but they could sneak through and take the win in the San Francisco Mile. So I think there's a lot to happen. I agree with the Vanzi. Joe Bravo was there last time, and I think it won last time out with Joe Bravo, and then coming right back. So definitely one to watch. 4-1, $7,000. But I mean, you could double up here if you think that you can hit the first and the second spot, but maybe double up in some of the shorter fields. Are there any other races that you all would love to talk about? Oh, wait, we got a comment here. I always pay attention when Irving is riding a horse at 8-1 or 10-1. He tends to end up in the money and helps the horse outperform the morning lines. That is something that's very important to know in the stable duel because prices are based off the morning line odds. So you're not going against live odds. So 8-1 or 10-1 morning line, if you're looking at an Irving horse, it's one to put in your stable, according to RB. Thank you for commenting.
Thank you. Thank you, RB. Makes me look good.
Shoes loves to look good. So, okay.
Oh, yes.
Let's move on. What other races, is there a Cal Derby or a Cal Oaks pick that you all think is really strong, or something that you want to point out in those races? Shoes, from your non-biased eyes, what do you like in either one of those races?
Well, I'll talk about the Cal Derby since I am not in that race.
There you go.
Agent. I couldn't find him out there, but in that race, I actually like a local horse. I really like this Il Bellator, which I talked to. A few guys were on the Instagram feed yesterday. I talked to Jose Batista, he's young. He's a really smart trainer. He definitely knows what he's doing. And I've always thought this horse was pretty cool. And he put it all together last time. He looked really impressive. He's actually, freshened him up a little bit. He ran last race was March 6th. So I trust him in knowing what he's in Jose Bautista. Actually, that is my pick. I know Cabo Spirit, George, my man. I love George Papa Padrumo. I love that guy, but I actually think Il Bellator is the horse to beat in the Cal Derby. And so we're gonna have a scratch in that race actually with Worst Reed Sanchez, who actually transferred to the Calbred division on Sunday, so he will not be participating. So that's why I like him even more. I like Il Bellator even more.
All right, so the 5's going to be out. So that actually shortens the field to 5 horses. So this, for some stable duel players, is a strategy they like to play because they will double up in a short field like this to put points on the board.
Right.
So one horse was named Il Bellator. And if you want to see that horse visually before the post parade, go ahead to our Instagram, Stable Duel, and check out the story highlights. And Fernando hooked you up with visual of a lot of horses, trainer points, and a surprise by Art Sherman. So a lot over there.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you? Who do you like in the Derby?
I hope good minds think alike here because I went with the same horse, Team Shoes, Il Bellator. And I actually went back to the barn and saw him. He looks really good physically. I mean, he's got a nice shiny coat. He holds his weight right now really well. It looks like he's grown a little bit since his last couple of races. He's a 3-year-old. So, I mean, this is a pretty important time for the development of these horses physically. And I think this horse is going to run a really good race. I hear he's been working well and he's going to get a good stalking trip. But there's another horse in the race now named Il Capitano who might be able to outrun his odds just because I think this horse could clear off on the lead in a small field. So those two are sort of ones I'm looking at, maybe an exacta perhaps.
So something to ask, if we're talking about a little bit more advanced handicapping, sometimes, on the dirt tracks, they'll talk about the rail getting very deep. Does any of that happen to an all-weather track? Are there any things that you need to look out for with this type of a surface or with Golden Gate in general?
Me or Shoes? Who do you want to start off with?
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, Matt.
Okay. Well, I think this Tapeta surface can play different based on the day, to be honest with you. I mean, I've seen biases change in the middle of the day. At times. It's not often, but it happens. I've seen tracks that are very speed favoring, and then I've seen tracks where you can't win on the lead. When I first got here about 6 years ago, I remember Tapeta bias. Yeah. I mean, the question is there a bias? And when I first got here 6 years ago, just as the paddock guy, I remember I was only picking horses off the pace. That's all I was doing because I figured that unless you get a clear lead, horses from off the pace are winning. But as time has gone on and I've been here, I've seen that the tracks become a little more fair. The times are a little bit quicker. One thing I've noticed at times is sometimes the outside is good down the stretch, but again, it's a case-by-case basis. So when I am watching races, I look at the first couple on the Tapeta to try to get an indication what the bias is. I think it can be very fair a lot of the time, but on the same token, sometimes the outside I've noticed can be a little bit better than the rail if there is a bias in any part of the track.
Okay. Shoes, do you have a strong opinion there?
I mean, yeah, like what Matt said. If you look at different days, it could be different every day. Even in midday, like he said, it changes. But all in all, I think it's pretty fair. You don't really see horses that, a horse could win on the lead and somebody might say, oh, well, it's speed bias. No, well, that horse went in slower fractions and they kind of left him alone up top. And then you could see another horse that goes to the lead, similar fractions, but then he's getting a little bit of pressure and then here come the closers, So it's that's why I like it. If you look at it, if you look at the track, you look at the races, you get to pick up, like little tendencies that each day has. So, I like it. I love Tapeta, so I don't think there's really too much biases. But if you look at each day and you kind of just go with what's going on, it plays pretty fair.
Okay, so we'll stick with fair there for the stable duel players. Absolutely. What about the fillies in the Oaks race? So there's what did I say? There's 9 fillies in the Oaks race. Is there any that are absolute standout? Were there any value picks that you really liked in this one that kind of had higher morning line odds, but really have a shot to hit the board? What are we thinking on the Phillies side? Shoes, do you have any strong opinions in this race?
Okay, so another one here that opted to come out of this race and go into the Sunday Cabaret is exactly Wendy. So the 7 will not be participating. I'm going to be biased here. I like, and it's 10-1. So I believe it's $1,000 on your stable
Yep.
duo. I'm going to go with the 2 horse. So just cause, sorry, I'm getting some noises here. Just because I like Billy on the lead, and I expect her to be on the lead. I don't know if there's just by glancing at it real quick here, I don't think there's much speed in here other than probably Anthony's Cleopatra. But I think if we make her get out there quicker, I think we can get the lead on her. Actually, I would rather be on the lead in this race. So hopefully Billy's listening to this and he listens to me.
I love it. What about you, Matt? Anything strong on the Philly side here?
Well, I didn't make her the top pick, but I do like Music Festival. She's 10-1 on the morning line. I don't think you're going to get that. I think you're probably going to get 6-8-1, maybe 6. I think 10's a little high for her. She comes off an easy allowance win, and the runner who ran second, Vincero Grande, came back to win by about 4 in an allowance race. So that tells you she beat a good filly there. And Vincero Grande is actually going to be in the Cowbred Filly stake on the turf on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I really like Anthony's Cleopatra. She's not a price. She's 5-2, but I think she draws a good post. I don't think she necessarily needs the lead. You've got She's Bulletproof on the rail. That's probably going to show some speed coming out of sprint races. I'm hearing Distorted Queen is going to be sent hard to get to the lead. So I think the pace might be decent in this race, and I think Anthony's Cleopatra can stalk, and I think she ran really well first time routing to a really nice horse named Unraptured, who's not going to be running on Gold Rush weekend. He actually shipped up to Woodbine and went running some stakes up there. And it's also worth noting that in this race, you've got a couple of runners that have never routed before, My Kentucky Girl and She's Bulletproof. So it's one of these things where it's a little bit hard to tell exactly where those types of horses are going to be early part in the race. And I think the pace will be pretty decent personally.
So it sounds to me, so Music Festival will stay $1,000 in the app because our prices don't change. But even at 6-1, both of these guys really like this filly. Worth a bet on the side with whoever ADW you bet with, TVG, Naira bets. The first bet is the home track for Golden Gate. So if you haven't opened up a first bet account, now is the time. And throw some money on Music Festival and do it across the board if you want. If it stays 6-1 or up, definitely worth a win place, maybe even a show. If it gets a little shorter, keep it to a win or win in a place. But yeah, have some fun tomorrow. Huge day of racing, plenty of stakes races. There's some others on here. If you all have separate questions, because we don't want to take up all of your time, hit up Matt on Twitter, hit up Shoes on Twitter. You can hit me up and I'll probably tag those two. I'll have opinions, but I'm not going to lie. I've been a little ice cold lately. I had a good day at Indiana Grand the other day, so hopefully that'll transfer over here.
I saw you had seconditis yesterday.
Yesterday. Yes. And I went with some girlfriends. I got guilted into going. And so I had a friend who doesn't bet, and she's like, who should I bet? And I was like, I like the 5, go bet the 5. And I think my mindset was like, oh, well, she bet the 5, I'll go bet something else. So I kept feeding her my winners and bet something else. So I got to fix the brain here, but still fun day nonetheless, always fun playing the races. So I've got one last question for you all, because today and tomorrow are such a big day for Golden Gate, and you do have ship-ins coming in. Do you think the home track advantage is stronger than having the ship-ins? Is that a good angle for some of these horses, or do you think it just doesn't matter? Horses can come to Golden Gate and compete, and it's not a shock to the system. We'll start with you, Shoes. What's your opinion of ship-ins versus home track advantage?
Well, if you look at the past, and Matt probably knows this too because we look at races here all the time. If history shows you, shippers come here and do really good. So I don't think that the home track. I don't think that really is an advantage. I mean, if the horses fit and ready to go, I expect all the shippers to be in contention in all these races. So I don't think the home field advantage here plays a big part. Who knows?
Cool. Matt, what do you think?
And I would agree with Shoes on that because you see a lot of shippers come here and do well. The only thing I would note is that obviously with horses that have never run on the Tapeta, you don't really know how they're going to fare over it. You'd be surprised. A lot of these horses, for the most part, do pretty well. I mean, I don't that often as often as you might think. I don't that often say, well, this horse didn't run well at all because of the Tapeta. You would think that happens more, but I don't see it happening quite as much as you might think. But it can happen nonetheless. The turf course is a little bit different than Southern California's turf course. Our turf course here is a lot more European style. Even if it's firm, it's almost more good. The grass is longer as opposed to down south where it's a lot more firm, almost like a longer golf course almost. So that's sometimes I see that every once in a while. But class-wise, it looks like the horses from down south, they have that class edge. And there are certain trainers when they ship up horses here, it's all a case by case basis. But some trainers, if they're shipping up, you're going, okay, they're either ready to lose this horse at the claim box or the form isn't going in the right direction. There are other trainers like Michael McCarthy, for example, that Shoes rides a lot for. When he sends a horse up here, you have to look at the horse. The horse is live pretty much every single time.
Okay. Well, I love it. Thank you for the information and the opinions. Appreciate it. Stable Duel players, good luck today. Again, 4:15 is the Golden Gate Frenzy. That is a free ride, costs you nothing to get in. Develop your strategies for tomorrow. Play against Matt, play against Shoes. Let's see if you can beat their stables today. And then tomorrow, you're bidding for $5,000 guaranteed, only a $50 entry for an entire race card. It's going to be super fun. If you're on track, where can we find you, Shoes? Where are you right now?
So right now, I am at the Paddock Pub. This is if you ever come to Golden Gate, you will find me here. So this is the Paddock Pub. And I'll buy you a drink if you see me here. If you come out tomorrow, if you see me, I'll buy you a drink. So
if they're playing Stable Duel and they show you your stable, I will Venmo and buy you both around.
Okay, you heard it here. So get out here and come to the Paddock Pub and get a drink on me and Bri and Stable Duel.
That's right.
I'm jealous of you.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, Matt has to work like a true professional and will be all the way up top in the track announcer. But maybe after the races, you can find Matt somewhere. But you will hear him in your ear all day long and on your TVs watching simulcast. So, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Good luck today and tomorrow.
Thanks, you, Bri.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon.